He carried a letter to a dead man in his pocket, and 63 cents to his name. Every town he passed through asked the same question, "What are you running from?" But Elijah McCade knew the truth. He was not running from anything. He was searching for something no living soul could give him. Heat dust of 3 counties clung to Elijah McCade's boots as he walked his tired mare into the town of Copper Springs. The animal had thrown a shoe 2 miles back, and now they limped together like 2 broken souls sharing the same weary road. Had 63 cents in his pocket, a bedroll that smelled of campfire and regret, and a letter he had never sent pressed against his chest beneath his faded shirt. The letter was addressed to his brother Samuel, and it contained words Elijah had written and rewritten 100 times over the past 3 years. Words like sorry and forgive me, and I never meant for any of it to happen. T. Samuel was dead now, buried in the hard Texas ground, and the letter would never reach him. That was the cruelest joke of all. Elijah had spent years running from his past, and by the time he found the courage to face it, his past had already turned to dust and memory. Copper Springs was a modest town, bigger than some he had passed through, smaller than others. It had a general store with a crooked awning, a church with a bell that needed polishing, and a livery stable at the far end of the main street. That was where Elijah headed first, because a man without a horse in this country was a man without a future. The woman at the livery stable surprised him. He had expected a weathered old man with tobacco-stained teeth and suspicion in his eyes. Instead, he found her, dark hair pinned back from a face that was more handsome than pretty, strong hands wrapped around a pitchfork, and eyes the color of good whiskey that studied him like she could read every sin written on his soul. "Mare threw a shoe," Elijah said, removing his hat. "I was hoping you might help." The woman set down her pitchfork and walked toward the horse with the easy confidence of someone who had been around animals her whole life. She ran her hand down the mare's leg, lifted the hoof, and examined the damage with practiced efficiency. "She needs rest too," the woman said. "You have been riding her hard. We have come a long way. Most drifters have." She released the horse's leg and straightened, wiping her hands on her work apron. "Shoeing will cost you $2. Boarding is 50 cents a night." Elijah felt the meager coins in his pocket and said nothing. The silence spoke for him. The woman's expression did not soften exactly, but something shifted in those whiskey-colored eyes. "You looking for work?" "Yes, ma'am. Any kind of honest work." She seemed to weigh his words, measuring them against something only she could see. "I am Clara Danvers. I run this stable since my father passed last winter. I could use someone to muck stalls and repair fences. If you are not too proud for that kind of labor." "I am not too proud for anything," Elijah said, and he meant it in ways she could not possibly understand. Clara nodded once, sharp and decisive. "There is a room in the back of the barn. It is not much, but it is dry. You work for me, and I will shoe your horse and give you meals. We will see about wages after I know you are worth keeping around." Elijah extended his hand. "Elijah McCade." "I am grateful, Miss Danvers." Her handshake was firm, her palm calloused. "It is Mrs. Danvers, though my husband has been gone 5 years now, taken by fever." "I am sorry." "Everyone is sorry about something," Clara said, and turned back to her work. The first week passed in a blur of physical labor that left Elijah exhausted in the best possible way. When his body was tired enough, his mind could not torment him with memories. He threw himself into every task Clara assigned, mending the fence posts that had rotted through, hauling fresh hay from the supply wagon, scrubbing the water troughs until they gleamed. Clara watched him work without comment, but sometimes he caught her studying him with that same weighing expression, as if she were solving a puzzle whose pieces did not quite fit together. On the 8th night, she invited him to eat dinner in the small house beside the stable. It was the first time he had sat at a proper table in longer than he cared to remember. "You are not like most drifters who come through," Clara said, passing him a plate of roasted chicken and vegetables from her garden. "How do you mean?" "Most of them are running towards something, gold or adventure, or some dream they have built up in their heads." She poured water into his glass. "You are running from something." Elijah set down his fork. The food suddenly tasted like ash in his mouth. "Does it matter?" "It might." Clara's gaze held his. "Depends on what it is. If you have got the law after you, I need to know. This is a good town, and I will not bring trouble to it." "No law," Elijah said quietly. "Just ghosts." Clara was silent for a long moment. Then she stood and retrieved a small photograph from the mantelpiece, handing it to him. The image showed a young man in a soldier's uniform, handsome and unsmiling. "My husband Thomas," she said. "He came back from the war different, quieter. Some nights he would wake up screaming, fighting battles that were over but not over, not for him. He spent 3 years fighting those ghosts before the fever took him." She sat back down across from Elijah. "I know something about men who carry more weight than they can bear." Elijah looked at the photograph, at the young man frozen forever in sepia tones. "Did he ever find peace?" "Some days, not enough." Clara took the photograph back, her fingers lingering on the frame. "But he tried. That was what mattered to me, that he never stopped trying." That night, Elijah could not sleep. He sat on the narrow bed in the barn's back room and took out his brother's letter, reading words he knew by heart. "Dear Samuel, I know I have no right to ask anything of you. I know that what I did destroyed your marriage and broke your trust. I was young and foolish, and I told myself that Caroline loved me, that what we felt was real. But the truth is, I was selfish. I took something that was not mine to take, and I left you to pick up the broken pieces. I've spent every day since trying to become a man worthy of forgiveness, even if I never receive it. I just want you to know that I am sorry. I will be sorry until the day I die." 3 years he had carried this letter, working up the courage to send it. 3 years of moving from ranch to ranch, town to town, never staying anywhere long enough to put down roots. And then word had reached him in a dusty saloon outside of El Paso. Samuel McCade had been killed in a cattle stampede, dead 3 months by the time Elijah heard the news burr. His letter would never be read. The forgiveness would never come. And Elijah was left to wander, searching for something he could no longer name. As the weeks turned to months, Copper Springs began to feel less like a temporary stop and more like something else, something danger, something that felt almost like home. Clara was a hard woman in the ways that mattered, hard-working, plain-spoken, unwilling to suffer fools. But she was also kind in ways she tried to hide, leaving extra portions at dinner when she thought Elijah was not looking, finding reasons to work alongside him on tasks that could have been done alone. And Elijah found himself looking forward to her company, in ways that frightened him. When she laughed at something he said, rare as that was, the sound settled into his chest, like warmth after a long winter. When their hands brushed reaching for the same tool, he felt the contact for hours afterward. He had no right to want her. He had no right to want anything. He was a man who had betrayed his own brother, who had destroyed a family with his selfishness. What could he possibly offer a woman like Clara Danvers? The confrontation came on an October evening when the air had turned crisp and the leaves were beginning their slow surrender to autumn. Clara found him in the barn, grooming his mare with the careful attention of a man with nowhere else to be. "You have been here 4 months, she said, leaning against the stable door. "Is that a problem?" "It might be." She crossed her arms. Most drifters move on long before now, looking for the next horizon, the next town, the next chance to outrun whatever is chasing them. Elijah kept brushing the horse, not trusting himself to meet her eyes. "Maybe I found what I was looking for." "Did you?" Clara stepped closer. "Because some nights I see you sitting outside, staring at that letter you keep in your shirt pocket, Some nights you look so heavy with sorrow, I wonder how you manage to stand upright." His hand stilled on the horse's flank. "You deserve better than a man with my past. I deserve the chance to decide that for myself." Clara reached out and turned his face toward hers. Her fingers were rough and warm against his jaw. "Tell me, Elijah. Tell me what haunts you so badly that you cannot let yourself be happy." The words came slowly at first, then faster, tumbling out like water breaking through a dam. He told her about Samuel, the brother who had been everything Elijah was not: steady, responsible, respected. He told her about Caroline, Samuel's wife, and the terrible mistake of a summer when loneliness and proximity had led to something unforgivable. He told her about the years of running, the letter never sent, the forgiveness he would never receive. When he finished, silence hung between them like morning fog. "You were young," Clara said finally. "That is not an excuse. No, it is not." She released his face but did not step back. "But it is an explanation. Young people do foolish things. They make choices that destroy people, including themselves. That does not mean they are beyond redemption. My brother died hating me. You do not know that." Clara's voice was gentle but firm. "You know that he never received your letter. You know that he died before you could make amends. But you do not know what was in his heart at the end. Maybe he had already forgiven you. Maybe he was waiting for you to come home." Elijah felt something crack open in his chest, something he had kept sealed for years. "And if he had not, then you forgive yourself anyway. Not because you deserve it, but because carrying this weight forever helps no one." Clara took his hands in hers. "You cannot change the past, Elijah, but you can choose what to do with the future. You can choose to stop running." "And if I stop running?" His voice was barely a whisper. "What then?" Clara smiled, and it transformed her face entirely. "Then maybe you stay. Maybe you build something here, in this town, with this stubborn woman who has grown rather fond of having you around." "Clara, I'm not asking you to forget your brother or pretend the past never happened. I am asking you to live anyway." She squeezed his hands. "I spent 3 years watching Thomas fight his ghosts alone because he thought he did not deserve help. I will not make that mistake again. If you are going to fight yours, I want to fight beside you." Elijah looked at this woman, this fierce, practical, beautiful woman who had offered him work when he had nothing, and was now offering him something far more precious. He thought about the letter in his pocket, the words he had written to a dead man. Maybe forgiveness did not have to come from Samuel. Maybe it never could have. Maybe the only forgiveness that mattered was the kind you gave yourself, the kind you earned by becoming better, by loving well, by choosing to stay when everything in you screamed to run. "I want to stay," he said, and the words felt like the first true thing he had spoken in years. "I want to stop searching." Clara rose up on her toes and pressed her lips to his, soft and certain. When she pulled back, her eyes were bright with something that looked like hope. "Then stay," she said, "and let the searching be over." That winter, Elijah McCade took the letter from his pocket and walked to the edge of town, where a small creek ran cold and clear. He read the words one final time, the apology, the confession, the desperate plea for forgiveness. Then he placed the letter in the water and watched it dissolve, the ink bleeding away, the paper softening and breaking apart until there was nothing left but the current carrying his words downstream. He thought he might feel empty afterward, but instead, he felt light. As if he had set down a burden he had been carrying so long, he had forgotten what it was like to stand upright. And he returned to the stable. Clara was waiting with 2 cups of hot coffee and a question in her eyes. "It is done," he said simply. She handed him a cup and nodded toward the church at the end of the street. "Preacher holds services on Sundays. There is going to be a wedding next month. The baker's daughter is marrying the blacksmith's son." Elijah took a sip of his coffee. "That's so. I was thinking maybe we should attend. get you seen around town more, let people know you are staying put. And after that wedding, Clara smiled, that rare and precious expression that never failed to steal his breath. After that, maybe we think about having one of our own. Elijah Mack Cade had ridden into Copper Springs, a homeless cowboy searching for work, but really searching for forgiveness. He had found work, and he had found love, but most importantly, he had found the courage to stop running. ND. In the end, that was forgiveness enough.